Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaba. Wanasema wasemao ni kwamba mwenye macho haambiwi tazama.
Just one decision. That's all it took to erase years of hard work, respect and a career that millions of Kenyans admired. For years, Salim Swaleh was one of the most trusted faces on Kenyan television. Every evening, his calm voice and flawless Swahili welcomed families into their living rooms.
Naam, marhaba. So Dr. mtazamaji, matangazo haya vile vile yanakujia moja kwa moja kupitia mitandao yetu yote ya kijamii.
Whether he was on Citizen TV or later at NTV, Kenyans admired his professionalism, confidence and commanding presence. He wasn't just reading the news. He had become one of the faces people trusted to tell it all. But then, something happened. At the absolute peak of his career, Salim made a decision that would transform him from one of Kenya's most respected journalists into the headline itself. Within days, the man who once reported the news was standing in court, facing criminal allegations. His reputation shattered almost overnight. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how one moment of judgment turned a respected journalist into a man begging the public for forgiveness and for a second chance at a job.
And I'm so sorry about it. And the last 1 month has been so difficult for me.
Before we discover how everything came crashing down, we first need to understand where Salim Swaleh came from, because his story was not supposed to end this way. Long before the expensive suits, before the bright studio lights, Salim Swaleh was just another boy fighting to survive in Nakuru. He grew up in Bondeni, one of Nakuru's busiest estates, where life was anything but easy.
Ilikuwa leo unalala kwa huyu, kesho unalala nyumba ya pili, chai unakunywa nyumba ya tatu, lunch nyumba ya 4, unakula chakula cha jioni nyumba ya 5.
For many children, school is where dreams begin. For Salim, those dreams nearly ended before they had even started. He attended Bondeni Primary School, but poverty forced him to drop out while still in class 4, at an age when most children are worried about homework and football after school. Salim had something much heavier on his shoulders: his family's survival. Together with his grandmother, he spent his days cooking and selling chapatis, mandazis and samosas just to help put food on the table. Imagine being only 12 years old and already carrying responsibilities that most adults struggle with. Missing a day's work wasn't just inconvenient. It meant less food at home. For many children, that would have been the end of the story. But for Salim, it was only the beginning. When he was 14, life unexpectedly gave him another chance. His mother returned to Nakuru and remarried, creating enough stability for him to go back to school. Most students would have returned exactly where they left off. Not Salim. He enrolled at Nakuru Primary School and advanced straight to class 7, determined to recover the years poverty had stolen from him.
Kwa mimi nikiingia darasa la 7, yani sielewi kichwa wala mguu.
It wasn't easy. Imagine sitting in a classroom after years away from books while trying to catch up with classmates who had never stopped learning. Many would have given up. Salim didn't. That determination will become the foundation of everything that followed. Because from that moment, he wasn't just chasing an education. He was chasing a completely different life. And little did he know, that journey will eventually take him from the streets of Bondeni to the biggest television screens in Kenya. Salim Swaleh made his big move in 2016 when he joined Citizen TV as a news producer and Swahili editor. It did not take long for his talent to stand out. Within just a year, he had risen to become the head of the Swahili news desk, a role that cemented his reputation as one of the country's finest journalists. Soon, he became one of the familiar faces delivering news to millions of Kenyans. Then came 2018, a career-defining moment. Salim joined NTV as an editor and Swahili news anchor. It wasn't just another job. It was proof that years of sacrifice had finally paid off. Night after night, millions tuned to watch him. His command of the language made him one of the country's most respected Swahili journalists. Viewers trusted him. Young journalists admired him. The colleagues respected him. Away from the cameras, life also seemed to be falling perfectly into place. He got married, started a family, became a father. Financially, things were finally looking good. For someone who had once sold Mandazis to survive, this was the life he had dreamed about. Everything he had fought for was within his grasp. From the outside, it looked like Salim Swaleh had made it. But sometimes, the greatest danger doesn't come when you are struggling. It comes when you finally reach the top. Because it was at the highest point of his career that Salim made the decision that would change everything. Not because he left television, but because of where he chose to go next. And that's where the story takes a shocking turn. For many journalists, landing a senior government communication role is the ultimate career move. It comes with influence, power, and the opportunity to help shape national conversations. After the 2022 general election, Salim Swaleh made what seemed like the most logical step in his career. He left the newsroom. He was appointed Director of Press and Communications in the office of Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi. To many Kenyans, it looked like another promotion, another chapter in an already remarkable success story. But behind the scenes, a storm was quietly building. Then came June 2024, and everything changed. Salim Swaleh was arrested alongside several other individuals over allegations of a sophisticated fraud scheme. Investigators alleged that the group helped imposters gain access to government offices by posing as senior officials. They were also accused of conspiring to defraud an engineering consultancy of approximately 5 million Kenyan shillings. Within hours, his name dominated news bulletins. Ironically, the man who had spent years reading breaking news had become the breaking news. Television stations that once introduced him as a respected anchor were now displaying his photograph for an entirely different reason. Images of Salim being escorted by detectives spread rapidly across social media. For many Kenyans, it was difficult to believe. How could someone who had spent years building a reputation for professionalism find himself at the center of such serious allegations? Whether guilty or innocent would ultimately be a matter for the courts. But in the court of public opinion, the verdict came much faster. His reputation suffered almost overnight. Shortly after the scandal became public, his employment in the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary came to an end. Just like that, the career he had spent decades building began to crumble. The respect, the influence, the public admiration, much of it disappeared almost instantly. And perhaps the hardest part wasn't losing the job. It was losing the public trust. Months later, a very different Salim Swaleh appeared in a video that quickly circulated online. Gone was the confident news anchor Kenya had watched for years. Instead, viewers saw a man weighed down by regret and public shame. With visible emotion, he asked Kenyans to forgive him.
I broke the trust. I did. And I'm so sorry about it. I'm truly remorseful about it. The last 1 month has been so difficult for me.
He admitted the past months had been incredibly painful. He said he could hardly leave his house because everywhere he went, people recognized him. Not as the respected journalists they once admired him, but a man linked to a national scandal. Perhaps the most heartbreaking moment came when he appealed for another opportunity to work. After reaching the top of Kenya's media industry, he was now simply asking for a second chance. It was a reminder that success can take decades to build, but only moments to lose. For sure, Salim Swaleh's story is one of the most dramatic rises and falls in Kenya's media industry. What do you think? Do you believe people who fall from grace deserve a second chance? Or are some mistakes simply too costly to come back from? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if this story kept you hooked till the end, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications, because our next video uncovers another Kenyan star whose fall was even harder to watch. You don't want to miss it.
Mimi nimesikiza sauti ya watu wangu wa Gilgil, wameniambia rudi nyumbani. Marafiki ambao umetengeneza ukiwa katika karia yako ya TV, karia yako ya kuhudumu katika serikali, walete hapa Gilgil, tujenge Gilgil mpya. Nitafute kiti cha MP